We didn't just notice after the brawl, so did Kansas head coach Lance Liepold. West Virginia and Rich Rodriguez specifically, he's got his swagger back.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking about the Mountaineers again today on the football side of things, baby. Appreciate you guys for joining in as we dive into a press conference, a couple of press conferences. Rich Rodriguez had a press conference today. We'll dive straight up into that. Lance Liepold, however he says it, had a press conference today as well. We're going to dive into those comments because I think they said a lot about this West Virginia team, right? A lot of great things, man. A lot of great things. We're basking in the glory of this Big 12 win, and it's been amazing. So before we move on to the guest, obviously this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. And with FanDuel, guys, it's pretty simple. Download the app. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Make sure you download the FanDuel app today. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. I'm not alone, of course. I've got a lot of comments about this gentleman. A lot of you guys like this guy, and I can see why. He's a very, very awesome dude, sweet guy, super nice kid. Somebody that a lot of you guys have asked me to bring back on, and so I decided, you know what, I'll bring on the brain himself, who can remember all the way back 20 years ago, who was on the call of a specific game, the Jacksonian Jackson Johnson.
How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Hey, buddy, what do you say?
Oh, man, it's going very well. Just getting through another Monday, but I will say Mondays are awesome, especially during football season.
That's right, man. That's
How
right.
you doing tonight, man?
I'll better than some, worse than others, as my dad used to say. So do want to do a little quick thing real quick now that I've got you on here. Obviously, we're going to talk about Liepold and what he said, or Liepold. Is it Liepold or Liepold? Does anybody know?
Oh, you can call him wherever you want. I call him Liepold.
Liepold, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like that singer on that Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Good call. Obviously he had a lot to say about West Virginia. Before we get there though, guys, I just want to honor my dad really quick, if you don't care. Let me take a swallow really quick before I get emotional on this. All right, so my dad would have been 65 years old today. Today is his birthday. I made my mom a thing, kind of like a postcard type deal. This is my mom and my dad. So I made this. That's my dad wearing a West Virginia shirt. Obviously he is the reason that I am a West Virginia fan. He brought me up to be that, to be proud of being a West Virginian, to be proud to be from the state of West Virginia, and that I am, which is why I have him, his date of death and birth tatted inside this line WV with his initials. It obviously means a lot. I probably wouldn't be here without him. He was a great dad. He stepped in when I needed him. So in life, as he adopted me when I was 2, I didn't know he wasn't my dad biologically till I was way later in life. But anyways, not to keep going and babbling on about this, but just wanted to honor my dad after the backyard brawl, because I was supposed to go up there for game day if that happened, a promise that I've made him before he passed 12 years ago, believe it or not. We just haven't had him back, except for one game against TCU, and I don't remember if that was home or away, but
that was a home game in 2014 on November 1st, and that was a close loss for West Virginia with Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit on the call.
Thanks, Jackson. The brain. So, obviously means a lot. So thank you guys for indulging me. Let's dive into Lance Liepold here. And I want to thank the people here at, let me make sure I get them right here. The Fog, Kansas basketball and football coverage. This is their show or their channel. And this is what Coach Liepold had to say, who I actually have a ton of respect for. I think he's maybe the most underrated coach in college football, and I mean that because he's made the standard for Kansas 8 wins when they were the worst program in the history of college football, and he turned it around. They had Charlie Weiss, Super Bowl winning coach, Les Miles, national championship winning coach. None of those guys could turn it around. This guy did.
Sorry. How has West Virginia looked with Rich Rod this year comparatively to what you might have expected at the end of the season?
Well, again, the pace in which they play is extremely impressive. Saturday's game, first of all, it's a big, a big, testament to their staff and their leadership and their program, because they had a disappointing loss on the road. Okay. And then to get that group rallied, obviously, in a rivalry game and to play the way they did was highly impressive. To be down 2 scores in the fourth quarter and to keep battling. It's a physical, gritty bunch, and it's a testament to the culture he's established in his short time there. He's implemented a lot of new players. Still, I believe, still trying to get clearance for other players and additions to get on the field for them. And those guys some of them have been impactful early. Again, an excellent coach through his whole career, and you can see the way it's been, especially in offensive philosophy and how they're going. So again, it'll be a big test for us, and I'll say that every week in here, guys.
So a lot of praise for the Mountaineers from Lance Liepold. And it's funny because after the game, Rich Rodriguez has the quote of all quotes. It's my favorite quote Rich Rodriguez has ever said, when he said, because it was so passion filled and it was so honest. He said, "We got a lot of grit," and they do. This is a team that's got a lot of grit, Jackson.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not messing with those Kansas Jayhawks. I'm not messing with those West Virginia Mountaineers. Those are 2 teams I would not want to be underestimating. If I'm a top contender like a Utah or a BYU, I'm not going to underestimate Kansas or West Virginia, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's a completely dumb move. Completely dumb to underestimate both of those teams.
I agree. So, just wanted to play that clip from Coach Liepold because I felt like it was a pretty cool tribute to the Mountaineers, and also true, considering what Rich Rod's done early on in his tenure. And so I'm going to toss this one over to you, Jackson. Does Rich Rod have his swagger back, or did he just not ever lose it?
Well, I've got 3 words, Paul. Does he have the swagger back? Yes, definitely. Abso-freaking-lutely, he's got that swagger back in Mountaineer Nation.
I agree. It feels different. It feels like we've been rebirthed. I mean, honestly, it's been a win that didn't really mean anything in the polls. It didn't change much around college football. And 20 years from now, most people will look back on this game and just remember it as it being just a game that went to overtime. But in Morgantown, as long as the zombie apocalypse don't happen, we'll remember this game for a long time, because it's the combination of, and I tried to explain this to somebody earlier, an Ohio State fan. You can't explain this kind of thing to them because they most of them aren't alive to know what it was like when they had Steve Belisari at quarterback back in 2000, 2001, or whenever that was, 99, maybe it was even earlier. But, and they weren't very good for a few years. No, it wasn't 2001, because that would have been – anyways, it doesn't matter. There was a time when Ohio State wasn't good for a few years. Every big program goes for it, but West Virginia has been good for a long time. 8 wins, 9 wins being the standard since the 80s. And, even through the Dana Holgorsen years, we had an Orange Bowl, we had a 10-win season. on the cusp of a Big 12 title. At least he kept the standard a little bit. I mean, it's hard to keep it where Rich Rod had it anyways. Even Bill Stewart had 9 wins this season, and we wanted away from that, and we got what we were asking for, but we also changed conferences. So, obviously it's just a tough situation. It really is, and Rich Rod coming back after 6 years of apathy. Well, I won't say 6 years of apathy because there were, the first 3 years, I would say, with Neil Brown, we were probably still filled with hope that he could turn it around because he said all the right things. He mostly did all the right things, but 3 turned into 4, 4 turned into 5, 9-win season. And then back again in year 6 when you're 3-22 on the road against really good teams, and just one thing after another. So I think the reason it hits so hard is what I'm trying to get at, Jackson, is after that 6-year stretch under Neil, you have a game like this where it feels like a catapult. This feels like a game that you can step up from. What do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, when you got to the Bill Stewart era after Rich Rod left, right? It was okay. West Virginia's coming up short. We're gonna get Dana Holgorsen. Okay, 2011's a magnificent year. Then with the Dana Holgorsen era, West Virginia's coming up short every year, particularly in years like 2018 and 2014. Then you had like Neil Brown, not even close to conference title contention. But now Rich Rod's back. You're going to be rocking and rolling, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. That's how I feel too. Rich Rod had a press conference today, and it was on a radio show, not a press conference technically. He answered a lot of questions. Our best player is one of those things he mentioned. We got to talk about it next.
Paul, I got a question though. What car would I want to drive exactly?
Huh? What
car would I like to drive exactly? Starts with a letter M.
M?
Mm-hmm. And ends with an A.
You got me.
I'm guessing a Mazda. What will I do with the Mazda for Friday?
You totally threw me off, man. I didn't know what the heck was going on here. Okay, we will be right back on Locked On West Virginia. All right, guys, this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by the Game Cap. Unfortunately, on the Game Cap, not Mazda this time. We have a quick question for you college football fans out there. If you could go back and sit in the front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it would be the Backyard Brawl, of course. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles worn back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then when you use code Locked On to get your vintage hat for $16.99. Go to thegamecaps.com. That's thegamecaps.com and grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code Locked On for an exclusive discounts because legends, they wear the game. And, of course, our friends over at 5 Hour Energy want to have a say in this. Right now, 5 Hour Energy shots are delivering tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors, where each 2-ounce shot packs a caffeine of a premium 12-ounce coffee cup of coffee. Plus, they have B vitamins and nutrients, as well as zero sugar and zero crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. They're big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere, get the boost you need. And look, I love how it kicks in fast, and then it's sugar-free. I don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold, or try something new in store at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. And we're back here with Jackson Johnson in segment 2, where we crack open a do. Listen, Rich Rod had a press conference today. I didn't know if you knew about it. And a lot of information was in the press conference. A lot. But I think the number one thing we learned in the press conference today is officially official now from Rich Rodriguez's mouth. Yeah, I almost did another show on Jamoy Robinson, and I was like, I think I'd be in maybe 9 or 10 shows I've done on him now at this point. And I'm thinking, you know what? I've just beat the hell out of the subject. I mean, I couldn't do another one on it. But Jamoy Robinson will play Saturday. Will play Saturday. It's official, 100% for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's happening. So, you get your best player only 4 weeks into the year. That's not too bad. And it's coming at the great time because obviously defensive player of the year last year in the American Conference, 10.5 sacks, 40 quarterback pressures, 2 forced fumbles, an elite pass rusher that had a 3rd-round grade on himself, and he still decided to stay in college for another year, which is unusual, but he did. Just how big is it to get a 3rd-round graded pass rusher back in week 4, right after you win your rivalry game?
Oh man, that's gonna be awesome. Like that is awesome news right there. Like, it's a much needed win for West Virginia, and honestly, it's making me lean more towards. Like I was thinking, oh crap, I have to reluctantly go with Kansas, but I think I may go. I might go with the Mountaineers in this one, especially with the injury report news for West Virginia.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Pass rusher, like people say all the time, it's right there in the top 2 or 3 most important positions, right? Outside of quarterback, you've got, most people will say the left tackle or pass rusher. Some people say corner are the top 2 or 3 positions on a football field. In the way we play with Zach Alley's defense, you can make the case that pass rusher is number 2 because offensive line doesn't matter in Rich Rod's system as much as it does, say, in Brian Kelly's system at LSU, where you need a lot of pass protection. You need, that kind of thing. You're not worried about blindside as much, right? Or if you want to talk about, even corner in Zach Alley's system, it's important for sure, but not as important as the pass rushing element of it, which is why West Virginia has, I think we're top 5 in the country in sacks so far this year. I mean, we had 6 last week, 2 the week before that, 4 versus Robert Morris. So we're definitely getting after it in that NASCAR package. So let me read off a couple of things from Rich Rod's press conference here, give you some updates. I've got bullet points, and I just kind of summarized up every sentence. I just kept typing like a stenographer. So here we go. The headline, Jamoy Robinson cleared to play against Kansas. Then we're going to go. Actually, you want me to share the screen with you guys so you can read them with me? Because they're kind of, they're kind of succinct, but it was a good week to be a Mountaineer. Really proud of how hard this team has played. Coaches prepared well. It was a great day all the way around. The atmosphere was next level. The crowd was great and made an impact. Anything like that helps in recruiting and referencing the crowd. A lot of them, it was their first time here, so it's a double win, talking about the recruits. He said the reason he was calmer on Tuesday and Wednesday practices because they were pretty good. Every day is the same with how they practice, talking about they practice the same every single day. Nothing ever changes, literally the same drills. Maybe they change a couple of things, but so he was making a point that it can get monotonous, and it's got to find ways for them to keep motivated during days like that when it gets a little, just a little monotonous doing the same thing over and over. So, he talked about the challenge throughout the season to get them to play like that every day, which is what we just talked about. The next play in practice is the most important play in the world to them. Then he said, for the most part, that's hard for people to fathom, which they're talking about the next play in practice being the most important play of the week. It's just that next play mentality. I liken it to in recovery. When they tell you, when an addict first gets clean, what they tell you is to take it one day at a time. But what does that really mean, right? Sometimes 1 minute at a time, however you got to do it, because addicts, especially in the beginning, have massive urges and cravings and feelings because their brain chemicals are off. So, the one day at a time thing makes it a little easier because, if you tell somebody, oh my gosh, I can never drink ever again, it's hard for people to wrap their minds around never again. So you just do the one day at a time thing, which, can make a lot of sense.
And that's why you crack open a dew or go for that 5-hour energy.
That's right, man. West Virginia played 97 plays and had 28 first downs, including which is in overtime. Didn't realize they had that many. The longer it goes, the better because that's how they train. So, some of these are all one sentence broken up into three. The longer it goes, the better. He said it should be to their advantage. He said he'd never seen so many Pitt players get hurt in a game. What do you think about that? Did you see all the Pitt players faking injuries?
Oh, I saw a few of them pulling that crap. They weren't slick.
So frustrating to see that, man. At one point, 2 players went down at the same time. Just silly, But, you guys can see, I think there's an article on it where they kind of talked about it a little bit more without all these bullet points because there's a lot of these. I didn't realize there was as many as I'd put on here, So he talked about Ty Edwards, and I think that's a big one. So Ty Edwards he really came on, I felt like he had a great game Saturday, 6'2", 225 pounds. Just when you lose, a guy like Jaheim White, what a boon for the Mountaineers, Jackson.
Humongous boom. Gonna be a lot of energy on Saturday. I'm already just getting excited thinking about West Virginia, Kansas, and a few of the upcoming matchups as well, especially with Utah coming over Morgantown. Everybody's going to talk about Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, Oregon, LSU, Ole Miss even, and Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, USC for week 5. But a good matchup to really keep an eye on for sure is West Virginia, Utah, especially when it's in Morgantown for week 5. But week 4, keep your eyes on the prize against the Kansas Jayhawks because they're going to try to mess around with you. Make sure you keep your eye on Daniels, put a ton of pressure on him, and you're good to
go. As far as Chase Wilson goes, Raven, I haven't heard yet. I'm assuming we'll get an injury update tomorrow during Rich Rodriguez's official press conference. So I'll summarize that tomorrow. That's usually when whenever he does the radio show, it's more one-sided. So, I think it's Tony that does it with him, and Tony doesn't necessarily press like Mike Osti does or somebody like that, So, he'll ask questions. Hopefully, I can probably ask a guy to ask a question. I've done that a couple times, even though they didn't know that they did. Does Jackson have a YouTube channel? Yeah, tell them where your YouTube channel and stuff is, Jackson.
Oh, they can find me at Jackson Johnson 979 here on YouTube, and they can where I host my show, The Jacksonian, and of course they can find me on Alabama at the Voice College Football, where I went solo today on today's edition of Crimson Tide Live. Coach Spoot was out due to some classes and all, and Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports was out due to a call from work. So I did Crimson Tide Live solo today on the bye week, and we went over our take. Well, I say we, but I went over my take on the injury report and much more news on the Alabama Crimson Tide, plus what they need to work on during the bye week.
Awesome, man. Jackson is a very passionate Alabama fan, so make sure you guys go over there and check him out. Does a great job. I like bringing Jackson on the show just because, number one, he's real. He's not fake. He is who he is. I believe in that. I'm the same way. And he's kind of like one of us to me. Like he's kind of like a West Virginian. He talks like one. Like he's got a pretty West Virginia sounding accent. So, where does that come from? What part of Alabama is that coming from?
Oh, well, I'm from a small town, so I'm in Meridianville at the moment. So it's like we're like several minutes away from the border of Tennessee.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. Yeah. I mean, I understand West Virginia's not the only place with a country accent like that, but they do different. They're different. Like if you really start digging into the different ways people say stuff, they can be different. Oh, as far as behind the scenes on Chase Wilson, I don't know if I can say publicly, Raven. I'll text you. I'll just text you about it. All right, guys, let's go to break really quick. There's one more thing we haven't talked about, and I meant to mention it already. The West Virginia Board of Governors got together today, and they came to a big resolution that West Virginia is going to be potentially the richest. I'm not exactly sure how to word this, but they basically want to be the richest or among the richest programs in the Big 12. And they came into a resolution about that today. I wanted to do the entire show on it, but I couldn't figure out enough to talk about on it by myself. I need somebody else to come on with me, but we'll talk about that next here with Jackson Johnson. And, of course, this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. With Prize Picks, listen, the episode is cool and all, but the daily fantasy app known as Prize Picks is where making the right call can actually pay off for you. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and most fast way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, and all in less than 60 seconds. It's quick, it's easy, and it's honestly my favorite way to follow along with college football, especially where I don't have a rooting interest. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups. After you play that first $5 lineup, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup with Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And, of course, we can't get out of here without talking about our friends over at FanDuel. And right now, the NFL season is here. Jackson was just watching Monday Night Football right before we came on. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and make you holler. If your first bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy. It's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. And if you're ready to play, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com, the place to get your first $5 bet. It's segment 3. We got Jackson Johnson here with us, just hanging out in the cut. I appreciate you all so much for being here. Top tier funding in the Big 12 is the topic here. Thank you, Curtis. I couldn't figure out a way to say it right. So, the Board of Governors voted unanimously for a resolution in support of West Virginia athletics, calling for the development of a financial plan that positions the university in the top funding tier among Big 12 institutions, while also simultaneously strengthening the university's paramount core academic mission. Quote, a strong and visible athletics program is essential to advancing student enrollment, enriching the student experience, strengthening alumni, and donor engagement, supporting recruitment of talented faculty and staff, and providing a source of pride and connection for Mountaineer fans in West Virginia and around the world, Robert Hudson Jr., known as Rusty, the Board of Governors chair, said. He also was quoted in saying, West Virginia athletics is at a pivotal moment where we enter a new era of college sports. And with the steadfast support of our Board of Governors through this resolution, will we be positioned to meet that moment from a place of strength? This is Rem Baker saying this. West Virginia athletics serves as a source of pride to our state. It bolsters our brand and connects us to our 210,000 plus Mountaineers around the world currently to the university they know and love. We look forward to the trajectory of continued success for our student athletes and Board of Governors. University administration committed alumni and corporate partners rallying together to build its future. So, toss this over to you, Jackson. As of right now, I would say West Virginia is probably in the middle of the pack, right? It's not the poorest. It's not Iowa State, even though Iowa State wins with less. Not Texas Tech, who's just running away with what are they? We had a $40 million roster. I've seen 60, I've seen 30. Whatever it is they spend, it's a lot. And, I don't know if we can get.
Mountaineer Paul got logged out for a moment. He'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry about that. So I accidentally hit the back button on my mouse.
Yikes, my dude.
So long story short, though, they want to position themselves to be the top spending or financial brand and the one of the top. What is it? Well, Rich Rodriguez is already good doing more with less. What happens if you give him more?
Ooh, I think you can really see some magic. Like 10-win seasons. Like you can get like to a few semifinal trips to the playoffs if you get more.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's an interesting thing. So before we get off here, here's what I did. I came up with 5 reasons why this resolution is good and what it could mean for West Virginia athletics. So I spent a lot of time on this. I spent probably, not a lot. I probably spent 45 minutes really kind of brainstorming in a think tank, listening to the new Deftones song, trying to figure out exactly what this could mean because it got me excited. But I'm like, it's a resolution to say, yeah, we're going to get more money. Like, it's really nothing at the end of the, like, it's like a public commitment. Yeah. Like, I guess we can hold them to it, but like, there's no plan in there. There's no detail in it. You know what I mean? So, real quick, guys, number one, I think West Virginia is gearing up to spend more on sports to stay competitive. That's really what it comes down to with changes like revenue sharing. You add 22 more million in your annual cost for an athlete to pay scholarships and NIL, right? So this means the university is going to commit to ramping up the athletics budget to match the Big 12's biggest spenders, whether that's, Texas Tech, BYU, whatever. They have revenues of anywhere up to 200 million, some of them. So, it's going to be refusing to get left behind is basically what this is. Not playing catch up. They're aiming for the front of the pack so they can attract top talent and win more games, period. I think they want to boost the university's overall profile and enrollment. Enrollment equals dollars for NIL. It's just as simple as I can put it. Why? Because you've got a tax on scholarships, right? The more scholarships you have, the more money that brings in. As far as I know, we brought at least $6 million in this year from what they have right now. If you ramp that up a lot, you could potentially add more. So, in simple terms, a winning Mountaineers program puts West Virginia on the map nationally, right? Sports-wise. If you're winning in sports, enrollment's up. They're correlated. Most people know that, but if you don't, it's true. Winning and enrollment at every university in America is, and probably abroad as well, is correlated. So it's not just about touchdowns, really. It's about filling classrooms, building pride. That's how you keep a university thriving. Sorry, I'm not trying to drown you out here, Jackson, but
No, you're good. I'm just responding to comments. No worries.
Okay. There's also a focus on balancing sports success with academic success. In this era, even though as a university, they have to go this route. I get it. Like you have to say academics are important, and they are. I'm not saying they're not, but it's just, it's such a hard thing because, Jackson, how do you feel about it? Are they employees? Are they amateur athletes? Somewhere in the middle? What is your thought on it?
I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm cool with the players, honestly. It's like, they're a little bit of the player, they're a little bit of the employees and a little bit of the student athletes at the same time.
Right.
So it's like you gotta make that money. So it's like there you go. But at least you're not Virginia Tech.
Right.
29 days till you can poach a few of their guys.
So what if we could fix the sport 100%? We can add the guardrails we need. We can have the governing bodies we need. We could have, we can have, the athletics, the athletes themselves can have a representation, as well as there could be quote unquote owners. I'm not exactly sure how you would even do this because you can't own a university, but would you be for something like that and leaving academics behind? Or would you rather it be like it is now where it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know where we're going with this, but we still have at least the college aspect of college football.
Oh yeah. I want there to be a deal that gets everybody happy. That gets the players happy, that gets the fans happy, that gets the athletic department happy, that gets literally everybody happy. And the coaches happy, especially.
Gotcha. So I'll just toss in the other ones. I'll just toss in 3 more. I did like 20. But I think we're prepping for pay to play in era in college sports. That's where we're at. Let's just keep it real. Obviously, you've got the revenue you get from, your cap. But what about outside of that? If somebody's got, doing a 20 million NIL deal that exceeds your cap, is it really does the cap even matter anymore? I have questions about that. They want to have stronger ties with donors, alumni, and corporate partners, most likely. So the call for collaboration is obviously signaling a push for more private funding, which could mean bigger NIL collectives or sponsorships to elevate West Virginia. So, expect more rallies for donations probably. And then a response to Big 12 realignment and instability because the conference is going to expand or is expanded to 16 teams. Obviously, power conferences like the SEC and Big 10 are pulled ahead, and the media deals with 60 to 70 million per school versus the Big 12's 31.7. So obviously, we need to strategize to avoid falling into a lower tier than we already are. So, it's West Virginia saying, listen, we're not just going to try to survive this mess. We're going to try to dominate it where we're at. We're going to be the best of where we're at. And that's all we can do, which would still ensure stability for the sports that unite us because, while we may not be able to have SEC money, we really just need Big 12 money. And, if you can just compete in the Big 12 in this era, I think on-field matters. And I think you can make yourself attractive to the big, to whoever in realignment again if it comes up, right?
Oh, agreed. No doubt about it, man. Like it's just it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 years in the world of college football. Because expansion's not happening right away, but it will be happening in the next 4 to 5 years.
Unless we make you the commissioner and not Josh Pate.
There we go. Let's bring back all the old rivalries.
I mean, it would be simple. It's simple if it's just one person doing it. Nobody can do anything about it.
But I wouldn't mind working for pay, but as the next commissioner, as long
I'd do it for free.
As long as he puts me in charge of the scheduling department, we'll be good.
God, I don't want that headache. You can have that headache. Your big brain can handle it, though. You're probably one of those savants that I can tell you, what date was it 20 years ago on a Tuesday, and you could tell me that kind of stuff.
Well, let's see.
No, don't do it online. Oh, God.
September 15th was on a Saturday in 2001. So, there you go.
Big brain. Rich Rod for president. That's right, Jimmy Mack. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much for being here. Jackson Johnson has been along for the ride as usual. He's going to be coming on more. I like Jackson a lot. He's a good old boy, and we like that around here in West Virginia. I'm the one that talks a lot, and he just responds every here and there. I run my mouth, and he just says whatever.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, me. It's like I'm always happy to be on here with you, good buddy, and thank you for having me on as always, man. I appreciate
you, brother. Tell everybody where they can find you one more time.
Oh, they can find me on Alabama with the Voice College Football
Yep.
Mondays, Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays on the channel. And they can find me on my personal channel at Jackson Johnson 979 right here on where I've got the Jacksonian, Pits Analysis, Final Whistle, and much more. And Christopher, thank you for supporting me. And Timothy, thank you so much for support. And Paul, thank you again for having me on, good buddy.
No problem at all, man. You know you're my guy. I'm loyal. That's just the way it is. Thank you guys for being loyal as well, and I mean that. Make sure you go check out Jackson and support his stuff too if you can. He deserves it. And I appreciate y'all so much. We'll be back tomorrow, more videos. We'll have a couple more tomorrow to do. I'm considering doing one live and one pre-recorded video that I fancy up a day a little bit, but I haven't decided on that yet, where I maybe add some sound effects, some music here and there. But I don't know if my boss will let me, so I have to pass that with them. I have a lot of ideas. Maybe I'm I'm thinking about starting a new channel because I have so much passion for this right now. I don't want to burn myself out, but there's a part of me that wants to start another channel and talk about something else, anything else, whether it's sports or whatever. But I'm afraid I don't know if all you guys will want to see that. So I guess I could build a new audience with it. But anyways, let me know down below, what would you guys like me to do on another channel? Obviously, I've got an addiction related channel, but it's not really working out. She got a new job. So, not to drag this out, but let me know down below what you guys would like to see me do. Would you like to see me do another sports related channel? Would you like to see me do, a video game channel, which I would love to do? Just let me know down below, and I appreciate it. I have an addiction channel, John, but it's not just me by myself. It's a friend of mine. You know what? I'll start putting up more content on the other channel, just me by myself. It's called Not Dead Yet Podcast, but unfortunately it's not. Hold on, I'll give you the link to it, because before we get out of here, I'll give you the link to it. Because it's just, for whatever reason, if you look that up, it doesn't come up easy. So I can't tell you why exactly, but probably because it's such a small channel, So, all right. Here is the link to Not Dead Yet. The first quarter of my story is in there. And also Olivia, which is my ex, but she's just my friend now, which we mostly just been friends for most of our life. We had like a 1 or 2 month thing where we tried to date, So I probably shouldn't even say ex, but anyways, her story is awesome. We talked about her story. If you've been a part of domestic violence or abusive relationships as a woman or even a man, check hers out. She's been through a lot. We go through my story up through the Marine Corps, and we start getting into whenever I started using the very beginning of that. So, which you obviously, a lot of you guys may not even know about that, but that started my 13-year bout with heroin addiction. So, obviously, oh my gosh, I'm just realizing this. Tomorrow will be 6 years clean for me. Wow. Unbelievable. That just hit me just now. Incredible. All right, guys, let's get out of here. But there's the link, and we will. I did upload a part of a video, or a part of my story in there. I'll do the next one here tomorrow or the next day. I'll see you guys then. Have a great rest of your day. For Jackson, for me, we're out of here. Cue country roads and roll damn tide.